All right, let's get this done quick. All right, number 11, 361. Do you have your calculators in front of you ready to go? All right, first thing, we're on my hook chart right now. This is somewhere the paper we didn't say this. Whole paper here. All right, 361. Is 361 a perfect square? Type it into your calculator and see if 361 is a perfect square, because I know my little angels do not remember perfect squares from a couple months ago.
Yes.
How much is it? 19, Sam. Very good. Is it Sam or Samuel, or does it really matter? Sam? Okay. All right, so we got 2 times 19. All right, then you got a to the 1. Can you divide a to the 1 by 2? Nope. Can you fix it so that you can divide it by 2? Is there an even number underneath 1? That's not underneath it, it's above it. Is there anything below 1? So I can't fix it, right? What about 3? Is there an even number underneath 3? What is it? 2. There you go. So you got to keep the a there, but you can split up the b as b squared and b, okay? Guys, please take math workshop seriously. We just don't do this stuff just to do it. It's all coming up later, and we review it for you first to make your life easier in class, okay? Just like factoring's coming next week, and we've done factoring for like 2 months now. So, all right, so b squared can be taken out as how much? B? 1b, yep. And then what's 2 times 19? You got calculators. 38. There you go. There you go. All right, what about number 12? 1058. Type it in your calculator. Is that a perfect square, or is it a decimal? It is a decimal, right? Okay, so now you got to think about the biggest perfect square that we learned. What was the biggest perfect square that we learned? That's perfect cube. 25. What's 25 squared? How much? All right, so take your handy-dandy calculator and see if it will divide into that. I did not pull my calculator up here. Will it divide? No? Okay. All right. So what's the next perfect square after that? 24. What's 24 squared? 576. Okay. See if 1058 divides into 576. It does not. Okay. What's the next perfect square? 23. What's 23 squared? All right. Do 1058 divided by 529. Does it go?
Yes.
Oh, there we go. All right, so we got, how much is it? 2, maybe? Okay, 529 times 2. All right, what about j to the 9? With letters, it has to divide by 2. 9 does not divide by 2. But what number? 8. There you go. So you got j to the 8 and j. And then what was the square root of 529? 23. And what's the square root of j to the 8th? Divided by 2. J to the 4. There you go. And what 2 guys are left inside? 2 and j. There you go. All right. 13, 14, 15, and 16. That stuff is coming in chapter 5. We're in chapter 4 right now, so it's coming next chapter. So when you multiply the w's, so you got a w and a w to the 8. What do you do to those exponents when you multiply? You add. There you go. So we're going to add here. We get w to the 9 and x to the 5th. And you can't add those two because they're not like. So you're done. Let's get 14 for a minute, okay? All right, what about 15? What do you do into all those letters? The letters. You multiply the letters. So what do you do to the exponents? You add them. There you go. So you got -4 plus -4 plus +4.
That's -4.
That's x to the -4. Very good. But the only thing is, you do not want a negative exponent. So how do you make it positive? Remember from Algebra 1?
You make the x
No.
You should divide.
It is a fraction, and so you're over 1, right? To make it positive, you just flip it upside down. You do the opposite, right? should be 1 over x to the positive 4. Very good, Sam. All right, 16. So here, when I multiply, I add. What do I do when I divide? You subtract. There you go. But here's the deal. You want to subtract them so they're positive. You don't want to do 5 minus 11. You want to do 11 minus 5. How much is that? 6. And where's the biggest exponent? On the bottom. So that's where the f to the 6 goes. And you got to have a number on the top, but it can't be 0. So what number's on top? 1. There you go. Right, okay? All right, last one. Let's do number 14. Here we go. So 14. Do you see any letters in the middle? Like on the inside? Yeah? What do you do when you're dividing those letters? You subtract. There you go. So x to the 3rd and x to the 2, what do you get when you subtract them? 1. And where does the leftover go? The top, because that's the biggest exponent, okay? So you got 2x. What about the y's? What do you do to the y's? You subtract them, but do it so it's positive. 5 minus 2 is how much? 3, and it goes to the biggest one. Where's the biggest one? On the bottom. So you got, and don't forget that negative. So it's negative y to the 3. But you got a negative 2 exponent. Guys, you never, ever, ever want a negative exponent. So it's the same thing. How did we fix this so that it wasn't negative? We flipped it, right? So you do the same thing. You just flip the whole thing over, and it becomes positive 2. So it'd be 2x on the bottom, a negative y to the 3rd on the top, and now it's a positive 2. Right? All right, so here we go. If we add when we're multiplying, we subtract when we're dividing, what do we do when we only have one base? There's only 2 operations left. You got addition and you got subtraction. Which 2 are left? Multiplication and division, right? So what do you do when you got one base? You multiply. So 3 times 2 is how much? So you got negative y to the 6. Then what's 2 to the 2nd power? What's 2 times 2? 4. And then you got x to, what?
This is negative y to the 6.
Yeah. Oh, crap. How do I know that, too? Thanks. Sorry, guys. I don't know what I was doing there. Okay, and then you got y to x to the 1, right? What do you do to the 2 and the 1? You multiply and you get x to the, there you go. It's not going away. It's coming back. So take it seriously now, okay? All right, grab a calculator. Make sure everybody's got a calculator. We got 2 problems we're going to go over. We're going to grab it. It was on my desk. All right, if you've got an Android, then make an app on the Android for that. Or if you've got an iPhone, then you just got to make sure you got your own calculator. And if you can't use the app on a ACT, so you really, really, really need to make sure you get your own calculators too, okay? If you've noticed, we're using them every day. All right, very first one. What if I gave you x squared plus 2x minus 15, and I told you to find the y-intercept? What would you get? Negative 15, right? Where'd you get that from? It's just the last number. My calculator ever wants to come up. Okay. What if I asked you to find the axis of symmetry? What's the formula? Okay, so what is it in this case? There you go, which would just be negative 1. What about your vertex? What about you find your vertex? Yeah? Then you do your calculator, right? You got y equals ready? And it's x squared plus 2x subtract 15. And you don't even have to worry about graphing because you're trying to find numbers. Where do you go to find numbers? Second table. There you go. And what number are you looking for?
0.
No, you're not looking for 0. -1. And what numbers with -1? There you go. All right. And then what if I asked you if it was a max or a min? It's a min because it's a positive, right? And every single time, what's that value of that min or that max? Whatever your vertex is, okay? I mean, it's like a free answer right there. All right, what if I asked you for the domain and range? Perfect. What about your range? There you go. What if I asked you to graph it?
So,
It's always bottom to top. So if it's a minimum, it's always going to be that number first. If it's a maximum, it's going to be the negative infinity first. All right. What if I asked you to graph it? What do you know in order to graph? You know the y-intercept is -15. What else do you know? Vertex is where? -1, -16. What else do you know? The line, axis symmetry, where is it at? There you go. Okay, and that is not enough information to do a parabola. You got one more dot you got to find. Where do you find it from? There you go. You got one dot on the right, that's one away, and you go one dot on the right, you go one dot on the left, that's one away. And what should have it on both ends of your lines? Arrows, because that graph keeps going, keeps going. All right, what if I gave you same thing, but what if this time I set it equal to 0? So this time I set equal to 0, and this time your directions are going to say solve. Guys, what's the only thing there to solve for? X. So what are you looking for if you're trying to find X? X-intercepts. So you go to your graph, which you already got. Hit graph. Where does it look like it hits the x-axis?
3.
3 on this one. What's this one? -5, I think. And when you go to your table, what better be with -5 and 3? 0. If it's not a 0, then you've got to do what we did yesterday, the second calculate. They're both 0, okay? So you put x equals -5 and x equals 3. Everybody okay with that? All right, what if I gave you one more? (2x² plus 7x minus 1). Actually, no, let's not do that. I think we're all okay on how to find. Y'all are good on how to find x-intercept. Y-intercepts and vertex and mins and that, right? Yeah. Okay, what if I gave you this then? It's got an equal sign. You got to set it equal to 0. So what do you got to do with the 1?
Subtract it.
There you go. All right, and the only thing there to solve for is x. So you're finding the x-intercepts. But when you go to y equals and you plug that in, actually that's supposed to be negative. Oops, sorry. (2x² plus 7x minus 1. And you hit graph. They do not land on nice, pretty numbers. So if they don't land on nice, pretty numbers, see, like, look at this guy. He's like in between 3 and 4, right? So you can't go to your table. You remember what we did yesterday? We hit second something. Second calculate. And we're finding a 0. So you hit number 2. All right, look at this guy right here on the left. The left bound of that x-intercept, is that below it or above it? Below it. There you go. So make sure you get it below it. Hit enter. The right bound of that intercept would be right above it. And then you got to hit enter one more time. It's going to be really, really close to 0. It's 0.149. Alright, then you gotta do it again to find this one. You hit second calculate. We're finding a 0. Where's the left bound of this guy? On the top of it or on the bottom of it? Top of it, there you go. Where's the right bound of that one? Below it. Thank you, Colton. And then enter one more time. 3.35? Okay. Alright, last thing, then we'll take our quiz. What if I asked you to find your vertex using your calculator? How do you make your calculator give you your vertex?
You do second count.
Yeah?
Minimum or maximum.
Alright, what was it? Min or max? So max, so I'm going to hit number 4. Alright, now it says left bound. You do the left bound of that hill. So you got to be on the left side of that hill. There's good. And then the right side of that hill. And then enter one more time. And what's your maximum? Uh-huh. There you go. Everybody okay? Hope so. Everybody that's taken it has done really, really well, so it shouldn't be a problem. That does not mean you're going to fail it.